It's time for another episode with a recipe taken from my brand new book, Peter Sidwell's Kitchen, coming soon. It's a delicious tomato and bread Tuscan soup. It sounds a bit crackers putting bread in your soup, but I tell you, it is absolutely delicious. Emily's a little concerned about, aren't you?
A little bit.
So this is a Tuscan bread soup, a tomato and bread soup. And I when I first had this in Tuscany, Marina, a friend of ours, made it for a big family dinner, and I was like, what is this? And it's a way of using up stale bread. It's delicious, honestly. So it's really, really good. So it starts with chopping an onion. So I've got my pan on. I've got my 4-litre shallow pan on, as always. And then we're going to get our onion on. So we want this to cook quite quickly as well. So I'm going to chop the onions quite fine. The Tuscans are so good at using up leftovers and turning it into something like you've never tasted in your life. It doesn't feel like leftovers. But it is a great way to use up stale bread beyond breadcrumbs. It's a bit like panzanella salad. That's a good way of using up bread as well. Really, really good. So, chop your onions nice and fine. There's one half. And there's the other. So, cut in. Not all the way through the onion. And then cut in horizontally. And then crimp it together. And then just cut it down, okay? That will do. Right, okay. Let's make sure our hob's on. So I'm going to turn it on to number 7. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil in there, just so that we can get going. And then in with our onions. There we go. Are we all right with that?
Yeah.
Marvellous. Getting better at that every time.
Yep.
Right, now let's spread those onions out. The bigger the surface area, the quicker it will cook, all right? A little bit of salt in there, that'll just draw it out. So that is our base layer of flavour. Getting the salt and pepper in there with the onions and cooking it down just gives us that foundation, okay? So just let that cook away. And then basically I've got a selection of tomatoes that perhaps I've seen slightly better days. I mean, this one, they're different tomatoes, just chop them up. Now there is in England there's a bit of a shortage of tomatoes at the moment, so I believe we're going to be using a mixture. We've basically just raided the fridge. These tomatoes were left from another recipe that we did. In fact, they were left from the piada that we did, didn't we? We did a recipe with a piada.
Just move that tin out the way for me.
Yeah, you're not happy about that. And then I've got a beef tomato here. So it's just showing that you can literally use any tomatoes that are just starting to go a bit too ripe for eating. Chuck them in. I've got these little yellow cherry. These always remind me of my granddad. He always said to me that they always make the best cherry tomatoes. And my granddad was a serious tomato grower. Every year he would grow tomatoes. I always remember him for that.
They're a nice thing to grow tomatoes.
Yeah. I always remember him saying as well, these orange ones are the best ones.
Yeah. Because some people say, some people avoid those ones as well, don't
Do they really?
Yeah, well, not avoid, but obviously in tomatoes you think of red and you think, well, why are they not red? They get, the yellowy orange. I quite like them.
I think Grandad, he always used to say they were really sweet. I'm sure my mum cooks them as well.
I was just about to say, I think they're a sweeter variety of tomato.
Yeah, you like raw tomatoes, don't you?
I could just eat that whole plate full of tomatoes.
There you go.
Oh, thanks.
So, in with our tomatoes. And we're just going to sort of cook those down. And then some chili flakes, not loads, just a little pinch really, just to give it some warmth. And then I've got some garlic cloves, and that is my vegetable stock, but I don't need that yet. So, smash your garlic, back of your knife, keep your fingers up, and then just chop. Okay.
Garlic and tomatoes, they are the best match ever.
We've got all the flavours we want in this. And it's important to get the raw tomatoes in at the beginning, and just to break them down a little bit so that they give out their flavour before you start adding liquid. Okay? Now these are my chunks of dried out bread. So this is just a ciabatta. We enjoyed about 2/3 of it and then forgot about it. Sat in the bread bin, and before you know it, it's like, oh, that's a bit iffy. Right, we'll dry it out. And it's important that they're all dry and crunchy. I've got my kettle.
Oh, see.
Okay. What?
You're not convincing me yet, Pete.
Really?
I like tomatoes and I like bread.
We'll get there. How often am I wrong?
I mean, it smells amazing already.
In with the chopped tomatoes, and then fill your can up with some water. Get the last of it out. There we go. Right, now we've got the liquid in, so we can turn the heat up now, and we can get it up to the boil. Okay? And because we're going to add the bread to this, it's quite important that there's plenty of liquid. Okay?
So you could just leave that like it is. It's a perfectly good soup.
No, it'll be quite thin, this soup. It won't be particularly thick.
Crusty bread.
Right, got some vegetable stock. In with that. And then we've got to bring this right up to the boil. Okay?
So is this purely from just the Italians have used up leftovers? Is that like they've used the most out of all the ingredients?
Yeah, so when your tomatoes are... In the summer in Italy, tomatoes are fresh. And then as the season goes on, they'll then start to preserve them.
Yeah.
You don't get fresh tomatoes in Italy outside of November. You don't buy them. They're just not available. Whereas in this country, in the UK, we buy them. They come from Holland. They don't really taste of anything. They kind of look a little bit like a ready version of that. Yeah. They're not really full of flavour. So they find ways of preserving them. And obviously, if tomatoes gone a little bit overripe and they're not necessarily suitable for just eating, put them into this soup. Or if you've got a load of bread and you've got a load of tomatoes, this is what they would make in the summer, and you would just sit and have this as one of your 6 courses for dinner that night. And it is, you know, the bread makes it go a long way.
Yeah.
It stretches it out. It uses up leftovers. They don't throw stuff out in Italy. No. They find a way.
I like the idea of that. I'm very intrigued to try it, actually.
Well, you're going to.
You've never made a bad recipe yet.
Have I not?
No, you haven't.
Not one?
No, I don't think you have.
Hey.
You convinced me to eat Marmite. You can convince me to eat anything.
Exactly. Now, if you want any of today's recipes or any of the recipes from all our series on Italy, please scan the QR code along the bottom, or go to petersidwell.com and you can get all the recipes in that section there. All 150 episodes are also available on the website. And if you prefer to use an app, download our free app, Peter Sidwell's Kitchen. You get everything there. We've got a link to the shop there. Cook, serve and enjoy. You can get all the same kit that I use. It's all there for you to have a go at. And remember, if you want reminders we go live every Saturday morning, UK time, 9 a.m. If you want a little nudge, a little reminder saying we're going live in a couple of minutes, just type in the comments, free book. And what you'll get is a sample copy of a new cookbook, Peter Sidwell's Kitchen, that we're currently writing at the moment. Me and the team are all creating this book. Just type in the comments, free book, and go through the instructions, and then you will get a little nudge message on Facebook Messenger 2 minutes before we go live, so you can join us and have a chat. Right. Here we go, Emily. So, tomatoes are just starting. The little cherry tomatoes are starting to go. Look, you can see how soft they've gone, how quick. All right? What we need to do now is add our bread. Okay? You're really not sure about this, are you?
No,
I'm going to add
good croutons.
everything to it. It's a celiac's nightmare, this recipe, isn't it? Okay, so in with our bread. And what the bread does is it makes it a little bit, makes it almost creamy. Because it just soaks up the flavour. Oh, look at that. See, that looks good. See, now some Italians would just eat it like that. Do you need to try it like that, Emily? Let me have a little taste and see where we're at from a flavour point of view. Okay.
So why do you need to dry it out if it's got to absorb the liquid?
Because if you don't dry the bread out...
It literally just goes to mush.
It just goes to mush instantly, and also it keeps a lot quicker if you dry it out. It keeps a lot longer. You need to try this. That's good already. I haven't even got started. Right. Okay. Do you not put croutons in your soup?
I do, but it's just on top. They don't go in and
Here you go, try that.
Go mushy.
But I am going to blend this up now. All right, so we're going to take a little basil. So there's a little kick of chilli. Little bit.
Tastes really nice.
Maintained my record. Never made a bad dish. Never made a bad dish, eh? That's some record, that.
I'd never have said that, should
Right, I know. And it's on camera, and Carlos is not going to edit it out. Right, I'm going to blend the soup up now. And you'll see it go creamy.
Oh, I've just got the heat of the chilli.
It's just there, isn't it?
Yeah. Just nice.
What you find as well is that the soup makes this, the bread makes this soup really nice and thick.
Yeah.
And then when you put the extra virgin oil on the top, the silkiness of it is just incredible.
So would you prefer to have it smooth rather than...
I do prefer it smooth, yeah. I don't like chunky soups much.
Do you not?
No, I don't know why. Look how creamy it is.
Oh.
Right, look at that. Look how creamy that soup looks, Emily. And there is no dairy in that at all. All right? Not a bit. So we need to have another taste. Make sure it's awesome. That's good. That is a good soup. And actually, what? How long have we taken to make this? Is it a 10-minute soup?
12 minutes.
With the kettle boiled. So let's say 15 minutes total in going in the bowl. Not bad, that. Not too shabby, as my son would say. Not too shabby. Right, I need a ladle. Right. Now, look. That soup is creamy, smooth, full of flavour. It's a good one. It's a keeper, this recipe. I think this could go in the book, Emily, you know.
You think?
I think this recipe could go in the book. Definitely.
It's got some nice flavour.
I think leftover recipes
Yeah.
often the best.
They
Right.
normally aren't they?
They are. And they've, you know, I think some of the most famous dishes in the world are probably leftovers. Right, a little bit of basil in there, because just the fragrance of that. And then some more croutons. See, these are proper croutons for you now, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah? And then take your extra virgin olive oil. Can you see a nice close-up on this?
Just put it to the middle of the chopping board for me. Yep.
There we go. You're waiting for your super-duper angle. Is it coming?
Yeah, go.
And then just take your extra virgin olive oil, coat your croutons, and then work your way around the clock like that. There we go. And that is how to make the most delicious Tuscan bread and tomato soup. But what I've also done, while you've not been looking, is I have mixed a bread dough last night, left it in a bowl to prove overnight. Okay, and then all I've done is scoop it out. This is like rustic Tuscan bread 101. All right, there we go. So baked inside a saucepan. All right, that's a hot saucepan. So you bake, it's like having an oven inside an oven. So if you, with these pans from Masterclass, they're all metal so that you can whack them in the oven. And then we've got that lovely soup, and let's just cut this bread open and we'll try out on Emily. But look, can you hear? Look, nice. Because what I haven't done is I haven't done a second proof on this bread. I've just let it prove once overnight, kept all the air bubbles in. Because in Tuscany, they want a really open textured bread because they want to be able to mop up all the flavours. And you imagine when you've eaten all that soup, there's going to be some stuff to mop up in there, isn't there? And you need a good bread to go with it. But thank you very much for watching. Now, if you want any of our recipes, scan the QR code along the bottom. It'll take you to our website, petersidwell.com. You will get this recipe there and all the others. Thank you very much for watching. See you on the next episode.